This happened to my cousin, who lives in a small town just outside Morgantown, West Virginia. She's a teacher and lives alone in an old two-story house that used to belong to our grandmother. The house is on a quiet street, with a wraparound porch and a big oak tree out front. One October morning, she stepped outside to water the plants, and saw a doll sitting on the porch railing. It wasn't hers. It looked old, ceramic head, frilly blue dress, glassy eyes that didn't quite look straight. She figured maybe a neighbor kid left it, or some Halloween prank. She picked it up, placed it by the front door, and went to work. That night when she came home, the doll was back on the railing. Same spot. She asked the two neighbors next door. One didn't have kids. The other said their youngest was away at college. So she threw the doll in the trash. The next morning, it was back again, this time sitting upright on the porch swing. She told me over the phone that she was freaked out, but trying to be rational. She bagged the doll up in a grocery bag and drove it across town to a Goodwill donation bin. That night, she found it on her porch chair. No bag. No tag. Same wide-eyed stare. The final straw was what happened 3 nights later. She woke up at 3:41 a.m. to the sound of her front door creaking. She swears she locked it. She crept down the stairs holding a broom. The door was open, just slightly. The porch was empty, except for the doll, sitting in the center of the doorway, like it had been placed there carefully. When she bent down to pick it up, she noticed something new. There was mud on its shoes. Little streaks, like someone had walked it there. She finally did what she should have done from the start. Drove to the river, walked to the middle of the bridge, and dropped it into the water. She stayed and watched until it disappeared under the current. It never came back. But every time she walks past the porch now, she says she feels like something is watching from under the swing. This happened to me in 2021 when I was renting a small apartment in Huntington, West Virginia. The building was old, 4 floors, creaky stairs, weird wiring. But rent was cheap, and I didn't mind the noises. Until I started hearing different ones. It began with footsteps, but only above me, which was strange, because I lived on the top floor. There was no unit above mine, just the attic. I asked the landlord. He shrugged and said, "Old pipes. Squirrels, maybe." But squirrels don't sound like pacing. One night, I decided to check. There was a small square panel in my hallway ceiling, barely reachable. I used a step stool, popped it open, and aimed my flashlight inside. Dust, cobwebs, and something else. A doll. It was propped against one of the beams. Porcelain head, brown hair, a faded yellow dress. Its eyes were chipped, one looking forward, the other off to the side. I didn't want to touch it, so I left it alone. But after that night, the noises got worse. Not just pacing, dragging, something soft, like fabric, and thud sounds, like someone dropping something heavy. Then, the doll moved. The next time I looked, it had slid a few inches across the beam. 2 nights later, it was right near the panel edge, facing downward. I finally told my girlfriend. She didn't believe me. So one weekend, she came over. We both checked together. The doll was gone. Just a ring of dust where it had sat. We searched the attic space. Nothing. That night, we stayed up watching movies. Around 2 a.m., my girlfriend went to the bathroom. She came back pale. I asked what was wrong. She just pointed. There, sitting on the bathroom sink, was the doll. Its head tilted. Its chipped eye now turned toward the door. I picked it up, stuffed it in a shoebox, and locked it in the hallway closet. Next morning, the closet door was open. The shoebox was on the floor, empty. I moved out a week later. The landlord didn't act surprised when I told him. He just said, "Oh, 6B? Yeah, that room never stays rented long." This story comes from my uncle who lives near Elkins, West Virginia. He's a hunter, not someone who scares easy, and he doesn't believe in ghosts or any of that stuff. One fall afternoon, he was driving down Route 219 when he spotted a tiny roadside antique shop. It was the kind built into an old barn, sign barely hanging, door wide open, no other cars. He figured he'd stop. He liked to collect old tools and military stuff. Inside, it was darker than it should have been. Dust everywhere. Piles of furniture, books, boxes stacked high. No one behind the counter. Then he saw it. A wooden shelf near the back, filled with old dolls. Some were ceramic. Some were cloth. All of them were filthy, their eyes glazed over from age and grime. One doll stood out. It was larger than the others. Porcelain face, jet black hair, dark red lips. And it wore a tiny leather vest, something that looked handmade. He wasn't sure why, but it felt like it was watching him. When he looked at the price tag, it was blank. But stuck to the doll's hand was a note that read, "Take me." He thought it was a joke, maybe a gimmick. Still, he didn't take it. He walked back toward the front, but no one ever came out to greet him. He called out twice. No answer. Weirded out, he left and drove home. That night, as he was watching TV, his dog, usually quiet, started barking at the front door. Low, growling barks. He opened the door. Nothing. Except a box sitting on his porch. Inside, the doll. Same black hair. Same red lips. Same leather vest. And the same note tucked under its hand. "I said take me." He didn't sleep much that night. In the morning, he drove all the way back to that antique shop. Only this time, it wasn't there. Just a field. No barn. No sign. Nothing but tire tracks. He buried the doll in his backyard, inside a metal toolbox, and poured concrete over it. To this day, the grass over that spot never grows quite right. And once in a while, when he's out back at night, he swears he hears something small scratching under the dirt.